preaching and do that. Well, this is a test. This is only a test. For the next 30 seconds, we will recite our mission statement. If you don't know what it is, it's right here. Oh, members, I see all of you looking at me. Our mission statement is to expand our ministry to Manitowoc County and beyond, making new disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. Who we are at Lakeshore and what we do is designed to bring that mission statement to life. We want to share the God that we know through Jesus our Christ with everyone we meet. Anytime a child is baptized here, that is our hope, that that child will experience the love of Jesus Christ. Anytime a young person is confirmed, our hope and our prayer is that young person will experience the love of Jesus Christ. Anytime anyone walks through our doors, we have a deep desire to share Jesus our Christ with those people. Anyone we encounter in the world beyond our walls is someone with whom we can share the love of Jesus that we know from our faith. But here's the big question. How do we make new disciples of Jesus Christ? How do we, as followers of Jesus, work with God to transform the world? And the answer, well, it's so easy it sounds absolutely trite. We make new disciples of Jesus Christ to help God transform the world by putting love into action. And honestly, that sounds like every phrase I heard on college campuses we heard throughout the late 60s and early 70s. Love, 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 all you need is love. Love will keep us together. Put love into action, man. Right on. In fact, I still remember greeting everyone I met with a peace sign rather than saying hello or offering a wave. Put love into action. Groovy. So, let's get real about it. Words in a mission statement are supposed to be somewhat cold and just a little bit sterile. Because the only way that those words come to life is if we do something that shows someone else that we care for them in the same way that God cares for them. Mission statements are absolutely dull until our actions bring life and energy to them. But once that mission statement is brought to life, once we feel the power of that in our own words and our own actions, nothing can stop us from giving our abilities, our time, and our energy, and our money to make that mission statement real. Because once we get a taste of sharing God with others, nothing else will do. Putting love into action is another, well, it's a really nice, churchy phrase. But there are so many other ways to put love into action. And this morning, this confirmation morning, I want to offer a few ways for us to put love into action. And the first way is by listening to one another. And listening, really listening to someone, means we let our own thoughts and our own agendas sit to the side so that they don't interfere with what we're listening to. Listening to somebody means being quiet enough in our heads and our hearts to absorb what the person is really saying, without getting a response ready, without letting our minds drift, without thinking about what comes next. In one of my pastoral care classes in seminary, the teacher brought a therapist, a real-life therapist, in to talk about listening. And the therapist talked about just how hard it is to listen to someone for more than 2 minutes. The therapist reminded us that it's easy to let our minds drift, it's easy to get bored, it's really easy to get sleepy. It's easy to let our minds start to make lists and think about what's coming next. It's easy to think about how we're going to respond because what the person is saying, oh man, do we have the answer for that? But putting love into action means setting all of that aside and just listening. And when we finally do speak, loving another person means speaking with love rather than judgment. And that's not easy. The way to do it is to think about what Jesus would say in response. when we listen to somebody else, when we listen to what's going on in their lives, instead of offering the answer or the right way to do things or what's really worked for us, and that's so hard not to do, we just listen and respond in a way that lets the person know that they are absolutely loved and cared for. And then we work together to think about what might work best for them next. Because every one of us knows what we ought to be doing next. Every one of us knows in our hearts what the next step is. It's helping each other to discover that rather than dictating what it's going to be. Putting love into action means going out of our way to care for the children we do not know. Now my guess is when the kids come up here for children's time, more than 95% of us do not know their names. I'm not going to ask you to raise hands because that's embarrassing. Most of us do not know the names of the children in our church. And those children, every child wants us to know their name. Every child wants us to be able to say, "Hi!" Name. "How are you?" Excuse me. "Maya, Max, William, Emily, Grace, Eleanor, how are you?" Because when we say a child's name, they experience that love. They experience the fact that they actually matter to us. And taking the time to get to know their names, and kids don't mind if we ask their names 96 times. Eventually we'll remember it. The fact is, it's an adult talking to them, taking time to listen to them. Because if we practice doing that at church, we can start practice doing that in our neighborhoods. I know we don't want to offend the parents. We don't want to be thought of as somebody who's kind of creepy. But putting love into action is simply greeting a child and commenting on their appearance, yes, but asking what's their favorite thing to do outdoors? What is the book they're reading right now? Asking something beyond appearance. What's their interest? Getting to know them. It's the same thing with youth. We have 4 confirmation students, and my guess is if the names weren't in the order of worship, most of us wouldn't know them. That's terrible. But the thing is about youth, most of us are afraid to talk to youth because it will reveal just how old and out of date we really are. And most youth don't mind if we're old and out of date. They don't like it when we try to be modern because it just sounds weird. Pardon me?
Not cool.
Not cool, no. But giving regard to a young person. And right now, out of our 4 confirmation students, they go to 3 different schools. Asking what school they go to once we get beyond their name. And again, we can ask 16 times, not 96, but 16 times. And they're not going to mind. It's the fact that somebody other than mom or dad or grandma or grandpa or a relative is talking to them and paying attention and showing love and listening. Remember how that felt? When you're in junior high or high school, somebody other than mom or dad or a relative actually talked to us and expressed interest? That's love in action. If we practice talking to our children and youth at church, we can risk talking to children and youth in the rest of the world. And there are going to be some children and youth who don't want to talk. That's okay. But when we find someone who does, it forms a special connection. It forms a special connection. Putting love into action means doing our best to be pleasant and friendly to people we do not know, like taking time to greet the teller at the bank, other than looking impatient because, let's face it, Associated Bank always has 16 people in line and not enough tellers. But if we take just a moment to talk, it's an amazing thing. Or people walking past our house, if we actually are out in the yard and doing something, saying hi, introducing ourselves. They're usually walking a dog, get to know the dog. You know, if the members of Lakeshore Church started to be known as the friendliest people in the communities we live in, that would not be a terrible thing. Putting love into action means taking time to take care of ourselves. Time to rest and pray and let God's presence fill us so that we have enough love to share with others. Yep, mission statements can be really boring and really sterile and really dull. until we start to bring energy to them, until we start to bring them alive with our words and our attitudes and our actions. Because if we want to make new disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world, we better put love into action. Far out. Amen.